So I'd like to talk about the experiment that we did using cracker. This was the effective time on enzyme activity, and the enzyme that we're using is amylase. So you had a control cup, like you see I've illustrated here, that just had cracker with water, and then you had an experimental cup that had a cracker that we asked you to chew on, and we asked you to chew and chew and chew and chew it for a period of time, and then we had you spit it into the cup. So what in a sense you had then was cracker with the enzyme salivary amylase added to it, because salivary amylase is an enzyme that's present in our saliva. You can recognize that name as being that of an enzyme because it ends in these three letters, ASE, that makes it an enzyme. Amylase, its substrate is starch, and the cracker is primarily starch, so that's providing our substrate. Our product is going to ultimately be glucose. So if this reaction takes place, what we're looking at is taking starch that's in the cracker and converting that ultimately to its subunits, glucose. So we are breaking the starch down. So again, remember that the starch is the cracker, glucose is going to be the product. So what would we call starch? We would call that our substrate, wouldn't we? So that's our substrate. And in order to get this reaction to go, we added saliva, which is the amylase. Okay, so if that reaction takes place, we're going to have glucose. So the way we checked to see if that reaction actually occurred was by using those glucose test strips, and we had you dip it down into there, look at the color, compare it to the chart, and determine was glucose present. So when we come back to our control cup here, all we have is cracker, which is starch. We do not have an enzyme. We should not get product. We should not get glucose, because without that enzyme, that reaction won't take place. So when we check this for glucose using those glucose test strips, we should not see glucose. So when you took a reading, a glucose reading using your strips at time 0, and then you took it again after 15 minutes, the number should have stayed the same. So for example, at 0 minutes, if the number you recorded was 200, then when you checked it after 15 minutes, again the number should have been 200. We should not have a change in this number because no reaction should take place, and again, that's because we lack the enzyme. Over here, at time 0, if we have 200, we very may well get up to 2,000 after 15 minutes. That's because we will see a reaction taking place here, and this indicates the presence of sugar or glucose.